Welcome to the Craig and Greg Show, presented by Maximize Leadership. Here are Craig Owens and Greg Harris.
Hey, welcome to the Craig and Greg Show. I'm Craig. This is Greg. We want to do the first of what is going to be a periodic series of videos where we want to explore with you a little bit a leadership builder and then the flip side of the leadership killer. And both of these things, you're going to see that they really kind of pull against each other. And this is, like I said, it's going to be a periodic series that we're going to jump in and share with you. And I think you're going to find it very informative. So, Greg, this time we want to talk about the leadership builder of passion. Mm-hmm. But let's start on the flip side where I think a lot of people struggle, and that would be the killer of apathy.
Oh, you're going negative already?
Yeah, well,
this is a podcast for positive things for leaders.
I know, so let's finish on a good
note.
note.
My Aiken. Here we go. So I think apathy, Craig, is so easy to fall into because you really don't know that you don't care anymore.
That's true.
Right? You're like, you don't care, which is basically the layman's terms for apathy. If you were going to share a story, maybe your own journey, or something you've seen with others where apathy got the best of that leader, maybe share with the audience, what was that and what did you see, like warning signs, or what were the telltale signs?
Yeah, so something that somebody said to me a long time ago really stood out to me. No, it was wiser than you. So
Moses. Yeah, Moses. Nice.
All the way back to Moses. It was somebody asked me. They go, I'm going to say a word, and you tell me the opposite. And they just started saying, dark, light, that kind of stuff. And then they said love, and I immediately said hate. And he said, nope. He said the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is apathy. Because hate is still a pretty strong emotion. Mm-hmm. But apathy is just this cooling. And like you said, I think a lot of people that are apathetic don't even realize it. No. They don't realize that nothing is getting their blood boil anymore. And so where I've seen it, I remember working for a leader that slowly over time, you would see it on both sides. The celebrations when something was successful was kind of like almost like he just shrugged it off, like
almost expected.
Yeah, like okay. Yeah. And then the things that were wrong, those things became bigger. It's like it kind of went up, and so we got to a spot where his staff meetings. In fact, he said to me, he goes, my staff is just so negative all the time, and so I sat in on a staff meeting, and he started at the beginning. He opened the staff meeting by saying, looking at his team, and literally this is the first thing that he said: problem areas that we need to address.
That's the first sentence.
That was the first thing he'd asked for.
That'll set a mood.
Right. And everybody kind of like looked around at each other, and then they would start, and some people would be like, well, this isn't really a problem, but... And so then after the staff meeting's over, I go with him into his office, and he said, see what I mean? How negative they are? And I said, let me ask you a question. Do you ask that question at the beginning all the time? He said, yeah. And I said, well, then aren't you asking them to share negative things?
Excellent.
And he never, like you said, he was numb to the fact that he wasn't really caring anymore about the celebrations, and everything began to look jaded. Yeah. And so that's what I've noticed about apathetic leaders is that they have a real hard time seeing the positive anymore.
There is studies on the brain regarding apathy, and it's the front portion of the brain. It's exactly where dementia, Alzheimer's comes from. And it's one of the first signs of Alzheimer's is not caring anymore, not having something to live for. No. But it isn't a lack of passion. Obviously it's a horrible disease for families to watch a loved one struggle. But I find that similar with apathy. Why is that in the front? Your leader example was he started his meetings with the negative. With the apathy. The one thing that I think is fascinating about apathy, it's almost a nebulizer. They don't know they're becoming unemotion.
Sure.
Feeling nothing. And I would say, I'll plant the seed with you on this. So a leader comes into a meeting, and they really lack passion, right? They're just apathetic. What's the reaction to his team or her team in that meeting?
Well, they're not going to get.
Well, it doesn't draw, right? It doesn't draw. And I don't mean you need to have a Richard Simmons, cartwheeling and being spazzy like a clown. And some leaders are wired more serial thinking, more cerebral, more methodical. I really think they react to us. And I think as leaders, that's our influence. We don't really know until you take a step back and he asked you, why is it so negative? Because you start with the negative question, looking for the negative, right?
And that's why I think the value of having a friend that can step into your life, somebody that that loves you enough to tell you the truth, or a consultant, somebody that would sit down, and just kind of almost be the fly on the wall, observing what's going on and saying, can I make some observations on what's happening here? But sadly, I think a lot of the people that have been nebulized so much by the apathy, that when you share with them the changes that need to be made, their response is almost still apathetic, kind of like, well, yeah, I guess. Yeah. You can see the defeat. Yeah. But it's true that, like, you can see it just in a simple example on your stove. When you get something heated up, it takes a lot more energy to heat it up than it does to just keep it at that boiling point. Mm-hmm. And it's really not that much energy that it takes to keep your passion up. Right. But it does have to be consistent. You can't turn the heat down and then turn it back up. You have to find that spot that keeps you at the boiling point. Right. And then you have to keep doing those things day after day after day after day. They have to be consistent habits.
For the listeners, because apathy, we can get it, right? You can go through a tough season or a disappointment, or maybe you're not taking care of yourself and you're, working 20 hours a day like many entrepreneurs and business owners and so forth, leaders in a church, whatever, they're in it 24/7. Their job is 24/7, I think what's fascinating is with apathy, it feels like work. With passion, it doesn't feel like a job. No. It's something you like.
It feels like you're on a mission. You're right. A rescue mission.
I don't know if you remember, years ago, we'd sit down as a group of leaders, and of course, the word at that point was brainstorming. Sure. And when I switched it to our group, and we kind of just, let's heartstorming, which really doesn't tap statistics. It taps the heart, the passion. So we can, maybe if there's any apathy warning signs you've seen, and then we can move to this is the celebration of passion, because it's a rally cry. Sure. So,
well, I think that the warning signs have got to be, for a leader, they have to be in that daily routine, that when you are having to will yourself, I don't really feel like doing this today, I don't really, then that should be the warning sign that something has gotten out of kilter. And it could be like you just mentioned, it could be, I'm physically tired. Yeah. It's really hard to get passionate about what I'm going to do next because I'm so physically tired. So it might be, hey, I need to make some change in my work schedule. I need to build a 15-minute nap into my my lunch break. I need to say, here's my hard off. At this time of the day, I'm putting my work aside, and I need to focus on something else. But it's got to be those things, and I think that we also need to figure out, every one of us is wired differently, what replenishes me.
I love that word.
Because what replenishes me might be different from you. We might have some overlap, but I'm going to have to find what replenishes me. I can't copy you. I'm going to have to do it for me. And I need to set those boundaries to do that, because if I'm not there, if I don't have the passion, my team's not going to have it.
No, it's contagious. Yes. Both are, right? The apathy, the killer, to our message today is, the apathy is a killer, and then passion's the builder. Yep. And I think when passion is squashed and apathy is allowed, I think apathy is more of a poison, right? And then the passion is really the fuel. Yes. Of what people are excited about. It's an adventure. I don't know, but it's going to be great. Yeah. And apathy is, I just don't feel like putting my work boots on today. I'm pretty tired out. So to transition to passion, Do you have a quote you like, or maybe a story that you'd like to share that really hits home to the value of passion? Because passion is what they're drawn to. I remember, I think Zig Ziglar might have this quote. It's enthusiasm makes the salesperson. I mean, it's very difficult to buy anything from someone who is apathetic.
Yeah. Well, here's
the battery you need. Sure, if you want us to plow your yard or driveway or cut your grass, is fine. And it's like that's not going to be motivating or inviting anybody.
No.
I tried to do my best Norm impersonation, but it doesn't work at all. Yeah. So Toy Story is much better.
Yeah. I think for me, passion has always come down to not doing a job, but being on a mission. Not saying, well, this is just what I have to do,
right,
but it's what I get to do. It's what I'm excited to do.
Right.
Now, let's be honest, there's always some things that are going to be on our have-to list. As leaders, there's going to be some things that are simply required of us to get the job done. And so we're going to have to, there's some things we just kind of head down, power through. You just have to get it done. But we need to find, not only for me, what are the things that I get to do? What are the things that really fuel me? But also then for the organization. I have to get a sense from my people, hey, are we just cranking out widgets here? Are we just doing an assembly line just to get the profits done? Or is this something we get to do? We get to help people be free of this. We get to help people move into this level. We get to enable people to,
we're addressing a problem they have or filling a need they have.
Right. So I think that both personally and inside of our organizations, if we can focus more on the get-tos, the mission,
that's a good one.
Something beyond just the job description. I think that's what keeps the passion fueled. I know it has for me. When I'll catch myself sometimes saying, well, I have to. And then, wait a minute. Do you have to do that?
Right.
No, actually, I'm pretty blessed that I get to do this. And so
is passionate a mindset?
I absolutely.
Because you just made it a process of thinking, talking to yourself, right?
Yep.
You have it, but I lost the joy of playing baseball or tennis or doing puzzles with my family or whatever. That passion lost. My making gadgets, fixing things, building things. Is there self-talk limitations on passion? Do you need to be around other people with passion? Is it somewhat of a chemical reaction with passion when you have a leadership team?
Well, I think that, it's obviously a lot easier to do it with somebody than it is by yourself. But so you and I'm sure there's been days that you get up and you go, I don't really feel like exercising. Okay.
I had that yesterday.
Yeah. There's days that I feel like that too. But when you say, all right, I'm going to exercise, usually the good feelings follow that.
Absolutely.
A lot of times it's not, if you say, I'm going to wait until I feel like it and then I'm going to exercise, you're probably not going to exercise.
Yeah.
And there is something about accomplishing that begins to turn your emotions. And I think that for our own lives, that's got to be the case. But in leadership roles, we really become the thermostat for the rest of the group. So we how you hear your thermostat in your house go click, and it calls for the right temperature change. You need to be that click for your team.
Ooh.
And it's got to be the passion. That you're like, okay, guys, look at what we click. We get to do this.
Right.
And when you start seeing people just kind of walking around like just getting the job description done, and they're not paying attention. Their eyes aren't up. They're not go click. Hey, guess what we get to do? And I found when I try to give passion to other people, gets me excited too.
It's a blessing.
Yeah.
It seems to be that reciprocal, where we might have someone on our team that is struggling, came to work with a little bit of stuff or whatever it is, and that's normal. But to let them stay there is our leadership, mistake, to promote passion. And I think passion isn't like silly. I think people think, that organization, it looks fun. Oh, no, they produce.
Right.
They work hard, but it's not a job.
Right. Yes.
Rich DeVos, Amway co-founder, he's got a quote that I love, and it's basically this: if you love what you do, you'll never go to work.
Right.
That's his quote. And I think for some of the viewers, you would love to have that. Like I want to go to work because it's not work. It's a passionate. It's my outlet. It's where I know I'm supposed to be, right? And so when you whether you're working with kids or your church or your community or serving on a board or running a business, Craig, with passion, what are things that attack your passion that you'd warn the viewers, like, watch out when this happens? This is kind of not warning signs, but those are telltale, like, hey, get back on the passion path.
Sure. Well, I think the big thing is, we talked about this in a previous episode, not wanting to do anything new.
Yeah, right.
That will kill passion when people are like, "Oh man, we're just on the hamster wheel. We're not going anywhere."
Yeah.
That will kill passion really quickly. I think that anything that depletes and never has the opportunity for replenishing, and that could be on both the personal level and the organizational level. That you need to, as leaders, we need to be aware of that. That was a real drain there. My team just went through they did a good job on this project, but boy, it was really draining. Yeah. I need to do something to pump them back up. I need to give them a chance to take a breath and really get back in. And so if those things aren't taking place, those would be the warning signs. If you're just like, hey, we're just going from one project to the next project, one day to the next day. And if you're doing the same thing in your life, you're just marking off dates on the calendar. Did it. And there's no anticipation of what's coming next. There's no refueling that's taking place. The passion is going to evaporate into apathy really, really quickly.
Yeah. And for a leader to live in apathy and have lost their fuel, the passion. I remember one quote I heard from a speaker a long time ago. It's quite fascinating because the world is run by weary leaders. And I think there's where passion is lost. It's fumbled, and apathy is grasped and held as we're weary.
Yep.
And as we wrap up, finish up the apathy passion one for us.
Well, here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to have our viewers help us wrap this thing up. If you have come across a scenario where you say, boy, this I think was a total killer for my leadership or for our organization, or if you say, man, this is what really helped me as a leader or our organization just kind of go to the next level, why don't you share that word with us? Whether you want to share just what was the builder or what was the killer, and then we're going to incorporate that into some upcoming episodes as we make this a periodic, ongoing series of exploring what builds and what kills both personal leadership and organizational leadership. So you can comment below on this video. You can reach out to us on Twitter. You can come to our Facebook page or to our website. There's a lot of places where you can interact with us. And Austin's going to look up all of those things and tell us about all of the comments that come in.
Because he's got passion.
He is passionate about checking all of our social media places. So in the meantime, keep growing, keep learning, keep being passionate. We look forward to talking to you soon.
Get in touch with Craig and Greg through Twitter at Maximize Podcast or at MaximizeLeadership.com. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes of The Craig and Greg Show.